Hello, friends. So, we're talking on this channel basically about once we've discovered that we're not our thoughts, we're not our emotions, we're not our bodies, and instead we sense this infinite being, this infinite energy, this immense unlimited movement as what we are. It's one movement, one energy, that's everything. Then what happens is this engages with our past conditioning and with things that happen in the world that look like triggers. So I'm sharing my experiences. And most recently, I was just really sensing into where do I get tripped up? Where are there old desires that come up? And what is it in me that will run down a rabbit hole and then notice, oh, yes, I'm all of it, and there's nothing here to have concern about. So I noticed that when these conditioned thoughts come up, they tend to run in a few different areas. And I just went to, the deepest desire of each of them. What is it that would imagine it could be seeking for something? And what is it seeking? So I really just sat as different thoughts came up and listened. What is the grandest, biggest thing that this seeking is looking for? Not just the temporary fixes, but what is that burning underlying desire? And as I started to notice them, and we're going to go through them, I noticed that they are actually fulfilled in what we are, in this infinite. And it's simply a call back into the infinite. So it wasn't that I need to run away from the desires, but like Nisargadatta says, expand the desires until nothing but awareness will fulfill them. Expand the desires till nothing but awareness will fulfill them. So that's what I started doing. Just really, if a yearning for something came up, just listen. I found myself discovering, what is it that I wasn't noticing is already here that is so completely fulfilling? So here were the three desires that I found. Everything else seemed to fall into these categories. So they fell into a personal, an environmental, and a potency category. And so we'll just go through each of these one by one. The personal, and I think some people find it more aligned with worth and some people more about their effectiveness. But either way, for me, it's probably more on the worth side. But either way, this is the kind of desires for that infinite love. And there's a sense of preciousness, a sense of belonging, a sense of just certainty that I'm right and I'm valuable. My contribution is valued. It's those kinds of things. Or, I'm effective. What my movements here make a difference. Those kinds of things. And so as I just sat and listened, what I discovered is that for this experience, this body-mind experience to be happening, there is so much aliveness. There's so much intricate beauty and coordination. For the parent relationships to show up, for this body to function, for the atmosphere and gravity, for the DNA, and for, every cell, every different cell, totally different cells functioning in the body, and then the same thing with the way creativity comes forth and all of that. I just found, oh my gosh, obviously the infinite flow is devoting an incredible amount of intelligence and intention and devotion for this body-mind experience to be happening. It can't be worthless. It can't be accidental. It can't be, tossed off as irrelevant. And the more that I just sink and marinate in feeling the level of intention that carries this body-mind experience forward, there's just this automatic preciousness. There's this automatic cherishing. It's love, love, love. It is this sort of overwhelming knowing that this is pure delight moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. Delight of the infinite. There's nothing else that could create that level of intention. But, a certain desire, not desire as people have desires, but as this fulfillment in purpose to bring forth this level of coordination, harmonization. So as I sense into that, and just sense, we can actually get to the point where we can sense each and every cell, but just sensing organ by organ of the body, or creative impulse by creative impulse that arises, we can just feel this incredible love and preciousness. That's become just a favorite meditation of mine, to rest into this preciousness of this body-mind moving forward. Okay, so the next thing is the environmental. And I'd say those tend to fall under, do I have something interesting coming up? Do I have something that I find beautiful or captivating or whatever it is? Or well-being. Some people are more concerned about the environmental, either concerned for the well-being of the environment or concerned that the environment will provide the support they need for their well-being. So either way, it's kind of looking outward, and the environment includes everything. It includes nature, it includes humans, but it's just looking at this outside surrounding. Will it last? Will it support me? Or is it going to provide what keeps a good life? Whatever it is, whatever those concerns are. And as I felt into that desire, what I felt particularly strong was this desire that there wasn't pure chaos, that there was, something, on the human term it might be to look forward to, but it's more that there's a beauty, a growth and interest and expansion, and as I felt into that, oh my gosh, how could there not be? I look at one of the biggest changes in my life when I was living, in a pretty controlled way by, a pretty narrow set of limitations, how I need to be. Was originally even fundamentalist Christian, and then there were just a couple steps, and I eventually went into some Tantra training. I met my best friend and moved to New York, where I met my husband, and the steps between those two were actually very few. One key one was going to a dance, a type of 5 rhythms dance, like ecstatic dance. That was about 100 miles away. 100 miles away? About an hour away, so probably not 100 miles. Probably more like 60 miles away, something, in another county. And that started me meeting the people who would help me get to the Tantra training, which got me to meeting my best friend who took me to New York. So the likelihood that the person I was living as in the more constricted life and the person I was about to become, how was I going to make that bridge? Well, meeting people in that ecstatic dance is what did it, in particular one person. And how did I learn about this ecstatic dance? How did I find myself at one? I mean, there were a few different steps, but it was pretty amazing that that happened. I can look through my whole life, and critical moments have been dependent on, what looked like coincidences, but clearly were not. So, wow, at every moment, this moment right now, I'm part of this very intricate, energetic web of energies that are pulling and morphing and contracting and releasing, causing this flow so that I am meeting all the exact right people, seeing the right homes when it's time to move. It just goes on and on, finding the right jobs, having the right patients at work. I mean, it's just the intricacy of this harmony is astounding. And it just takes looking at a few of those serendipities, those few, it looks like coincidences, but clearly are not. And then I know, oh yes, what intelligence, what harmony. And some people, it's possible to sink into that energy field so you can actually feel the flow, the dynamic moving at each moment. Because this is not past and future. This is right now. So as we feel that, how could anything be out of this beautiful, intelligent, harmonious current of energetic flow? So we can just marinate in this, knowing it has all the interest, all the beauty, all the creativity, all the safety, all that is ever needed. It's here. It's here in the aliveness, carrying everything into its next spot in perfect position, perfect timing, always. Okay, and then the last thing is potency. It's only last because it's the one that I feel the least, but I can feel it from time to time, and I know people for whom that's more important. And I don't know the right term for that. Maybe it's power or aliveness or strength, but it tends to run along the lines of feeling a sense of autonomy in our lives, a sense of vitality in our movement, a sense that, there's the freedom and there's the choice, there's the strength to go through each situation without feeling like I'm going to be run over or controlled or whatever. It's just this knowing of this kind of potency that will see us through, that includes freedom and autonomy and vitality. So that's a whole other category of concerns. But if we feel down into all of those concerns, what's the deepest, biggest version of that desire? And it is just knowing that lightning bolt of what we are. I mean, that this realness, this charge, this force that arises, that erupts each moment as this human mind-body experience. I mean, it's totally uncontainable, totally unharmable, totally indestructible. If we just rest as this intelligent, unstoppable force, we just feel its light, its aliveness, its potency. There is nothing to be concerned about regarding autonomy, regarding vitality. This is it. And it definitely outlasts the body. We really don't have to be concerned. This thing is not going to be stopped or harmed. As we feel this movement, and we can just marinate as that. Really just open into it, sense into it, flow as it. It leaves nothing wanting in the realm of strength. Not a thing. So those are 3 meditations that actually end up, for me, kind of sort of birthing out of our deepest desires, but also consuming all those little flickering, distracting desires with the reality of what we actually are. These deepest desires are pointing to what we actually are for me. So I'll just review them again. The personal, which tends to run in the areas of worth and effectiveness, and that for me is just this immense intention that is able to bring forth this body-mind experience. This intention of the uniqueness showing up here, the intention of the coordination of this physical body, the intention of the creativity that erupts here. It's just obviously there couldn't be an accident. It's precious. And then the next one is the environmental, and for that one, that for me is this immense web that is causing everything to flow exactly as it should. And it's happening at every moment. But I can look into the past and be reminded by those very key moments that seemed so improbable and yet happened and made such big changes in my life. And then finally is the potency, which usually can run in the realms of autonomy and vitality. And that's just that whoosh, that rush of force, aliveness, vitality that's unharmable. A strength that there's just nothing to fear. Full power. Because it's what I am, what we are. So I'm presenting these as possible meditations for you, and you can look and see what are the desires that maybe distract you during the day, the thoughts that just seem like they take you down a rabbit hole, and maybe you'll find that they also fall under one of these 3 categories, and look and see what's that deeper, fulfilling desire that they're pointing towards. And you may find that what we are is the completion of that desire. And that results in this fabulous meditation to just marinate in the fullness of what we are that we sometimes don't notice.